Have Stranger Things cereal. Cereal. When the final releases, I'll try it. With that out of the way, you guys are just hating. Episode 7 is being bashed online and is even rated lower than the Lost Sister episode in Season 2 on IMDb. In fact, not just the episode, the entire Volume 2 is being bashed online. Me personally, I think people are just overreacting. There are some problems, but there are also a lot of good things about them. My review is on the top right corner if you want to learn more on my thoughts on Volume 2, but for short, I thought it was pretty good with some things that could have gone better. But one problem I had with the volume is that it didn't really do a good job hyping you up for the final. The stakes didn't feel high enough for the one last adventure tagline that I was starting to get a little worried. But I was still very excited for the last episode of this nearly decade-long show. And after watching the final, a show I got into for about 5 months, I can safely say that this episode was a great conclusion to the series. I really liked it, but it feels like I shouldn't because I have so many problems with it, but it feels wrong rating it lower than a 9 out of 10. But I'll try my best to not to be biased and explain my issues while also giving out the positives I have for the final. I'm going to do the same format I did with my Volume 2 review. I will start with the things that I liked about the episode, and then I will get to the negatives. I really liked how we spent almost 40 minutes seeing how much the characters changed after the climax. I was starting to get a little worried that they were going to have Robin explain what happened in the last 18 months after they destroyed the Upside Down, like what she did in the beginning of the season. But nope, we actually saw what happened. I also really like some of the character interactions that we had. We see Hopper having some father-like daughter moments with Elle, trying to convince her to not go with the Upside Down. We also see Steve and Jonathan talking about Nancy and how they are both not worthy for her. I don't know why I said it like that. So yeah, my prediction that Nancy would be with Steve in the final was wrong. It's whatever, I didn't really want my prediction to be true anyways. Although I did get one prediction right. I also didn't really mind that they kept Eleven's death a mystery. This could introduce some possible spin-offs in the future. Also, the CGI was pretty good, especially in the final fight halfway through the episode. It looked like they really were in a whole new planet. I was also really relieved that they didn't make Vecna redeem himself and stop the Mind Flayer with the group because he killed his whole family, killed a bunch of teens, committed a massacre, kidnapped 12 kids, and was planning to collide worlds and literally killing everyone in the world. It doesn't matter if he was being controlled, there was no way they could possibly redeem him after everything he has done. Anyways, that's about every positive I have for the final. Now, let's get to the negatives. It needed to slow down. From this 2-hour-long episode, the climax of the battle between the Mind Flayer and Vecna was just 6 minutes long. 6 minutes. It was so sick to watch, but I wish it could have gone on longer, but because of the short time of the battle, it felt very anticlimactic. Another thing that felt rushed was Henry's backstory. Out of all the plot threads that they wanted to not take a long time to get to the point of what it was, it chose Henry's backstory. Henry's backstory on how he got his powers. It was so rushed and they really didn't flesh it out all that much. The Duffer brothers did confirm that the live-action spin-off will be centered around the stone and what it is and how they got it, but the backstory was still kind of underwhelming. They were also just spamming fake deaths. There were multiple times where they tried to make the audience think a character was going to die, but then save them in the last minute. And in the end, the only characters that died was Vecna, Kali, and 11. Maybe. They didn't even kill off Dr. K. What even happened to her? She also just kinda disappeared in the final episode, making her kind of a wasted character in this season. Hopper probably should have just killed her back in Volume 1. Another character I thought was kinda wasted was Kali, aka 8. When she was revealed back in the ending of Episode 4, I was hoping she would redeem herself and be a great character in this season. But both Volume 2 and the final didn't do her justice. I get what her motivation is, but it feels like she was just added to add more conflict to the season before she died. Out of all the characters they could have killed off for an emotional moment for both the characters and the audience, they chose Kali, a character who the fans of the show hated for the longest time. Despite how many negatives I have for the final, it feels so wrong putting it any lower than a 9 out of 10. You can tell how much effort was put into this episode and how emotional it was seeing this ending of a show that has gone for over 9 years. But with that said, I'm going to say that this is a 8.5 out of 10. Overall, it was a great conclusion to the series, and it's also probably the best episode in the season. Here's my ranking for each season in the show, and for Season 5, I'm going to go and put it in number 4. It's not the worst season, but it's much more weaker than the other seasons in the show. Still better than Season 3. Now that I have finished my Stranger Things saga, what's next? Stranger Things was the first show I have reviewed on this channel, so now that it's over, what's the next thing I will do? Well, review more shows and movies, of course. I'm done recording the FNAF 2 movie review, and I have already edited 3 out of the 8 minutes of the video, so the video should be coming out next Sunday. I will also be reviewing Toon Turf after that, and then Zootopia 2 the week after, and then Hazbin Hotel Season 2. My Hazbin Hotel video is probably going to take a long time to make, but it probably should release sometime during February, or at the latest, early March. With that out of the way, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for my FNAF 2 video. Despite me seeing Stranger Things a little later than everyone else, Stranger Things will forever have a special place on this channel.